Hi guys, so I let the glue dry for about an hour. It's still a little tacky. I've gone ahead and knotted my thread and put it in and got it anchored. I don't know if I'm going to have enough in length to go all the way around, but I wanted to show you how I do a picot. And so I'm going to start out by picking up 2 beads, and we're going to start this as we normally would, doing our regular basic brick stitch around the edge. I'm using regular sewing thread because I don't have any beading thread that matches this hot pink. So I'm just going to use regular thread for now because it does match the back of this fabric quite nicely. So now that I've picked up my first bead and I've anchored my first 2 beads, I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads. I'm going to go back through like I would if I was doing a single. And then I'm going to flip this over just so I can show you. I'm going to go back through just the 1 bead. So that second bead that I picked up is going to sit up above in a point. So again, I'm going to do one more with you, and then I'm going to do the rest of this off camera. So I'm going in like I'm going to do a regular brick stitch, and I am only going to go through, I'm going to flip it around back here just to show you. I have 2 beads. So I've got this one, which was the first bead we put on, and this is the second bead. I'm just going to go through this last bead here closest to my edge, pull it tight, and then just lift up, and that's going to be my bricks, my picot. So this is going to have a very fancy edging. Now I'm debating whether I want to do that in all of that color or if I want to do it in gold with that as a, so if you're not sure, I mean, you can try to take it out. It may be, you know, more advantageous just to cut the thread and try again, but I'm debating. So I'm going to pick one up because I'm probably going to cut this, and I'm going to do, let's see what it looks like with gold on the bottom. So I'm going to pick up one of those, one of the golds. And again, you don't have to do a picot. I just wanted this to be a little more fancy, little more tropical looking. So I am going to try going through here, going through my gold stitch. And seeing what a picot looks like with gold as the... Yeah, I'm not sure I like these. All right, so I'm going to try one more thing, and then I'm going to cut this because I'm not liking the coral beads. I may want to do something with them after, but I'm going to try one with all gold. And so this is where, I mean, I'm not worried about this thread because it's really inexpensive. It's not like it's super expensive beading thread. And I'm going to go through that and see what it looks like to have the gold picots. I think I like the gold better than I like the coral because I'm liking the shiny better. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to start it over, and I'm going to do the gold picots, but at least I've shown you how to do the picots, and we'll get back together when I'm done with my border. Hey guys, sorry about the shaky camera. So I was in the process of beading, and I did the corners, and I wanted to show you, I did not do the picots at the corner just because I wanted to show you, I need to make sure I have room to get something on the loop there without it sticking up too much, and I've got a thread there that's sticking out a little bit, but that's fine. So what I'm going to do is, instead of doing a picot, I'm going to do a regular brick stitch. I'm going to put a seed bead on. But instead of going through this way and going around this loop, I'm going to stick my needle through the loop from the front to the back because I want that seed bead to be in front. I'm going to stick my needle through the back of the fabrics toward the front so that the thread is going, and if I don't knot it up here, one of my strands is not tight. There we go. And I am then going to go through the bead in front of the jump ring. Now this can be a little bit tricky because again, you're in front of the jump ring. That jump ring's going to push to the back a little bit. And I'm going to do that for you one more time. Hi, baby. She's biting at my pant legs again. So I'm going to pick up the seed bead, go from the front to the back of the jump ring. Or the jump ring. And I just wanted to tighten that up a little bit, the thread. I'm going to go from the back to the front like I'm going to do a regular brick stitch. Like I'm continuing on, making sure, and I hate it when that happens, if you're doing double stranded threads, try to keep your threads even. Otherwise, you're going to have things sticking up. And then I'm going to go through that seed bead, and I'm trying to just do it so that, there we go. So you can see me doing it. And I'm just going to pull that nice and tight. And they're going to be sticking in the front, and that's fine. You're going to see the pink thread a little bit. Unfortunately, there's no way around that. Like I could have done picots, but I thought it would be really messy in front of those loops. So I'm going to do this one more time. Stick my needle back through. And so at this point, I'm at my last bead coming up to my loop. And this is what happens when you have double threads. You end up with, sometimes you end up with a mess of thread. If that ever happens, don't keep pulling until you've untwisted it because you will knot it up. And if you knot it at this point, at this stage, and I had to cut the thread, I'd have to take out everything that I've done and start over. I mean, I wouldn't have to, but it's just better if you have your thread for this all at, all in one go. Now, also, one of the things that when I was doing the picots on this side here, those are really far apart. I mean, they're fine, and I've got the one at the top, but they're not sticking up as much as I'd like, so I think I'm going to take some beads when I'm done and go in between here, and do a picot with 3 beads in between these two, and then one up top so it's a little bit taller, maybe. We'll see what I think when I'm done. Anyways, now that I'm done with the 3 that are in front of this, I'm going to pick up 2 because now I'm going to start back my picots on the other side of that jump ring. So I'm going to come here on the other side of the jump ring and just do my picot as usual, trying not to knot my thread, and just do my and so it does fill in the space, so you're not going to see the jump rings all that much, and that's fine. That's exactly what I want because I don't want the jump rings to show. So I'm going to continue on, and I'll meet you back when I'm done. All right, guys. So I have gotten all the way around, and I'm up to my finishing point. So I haven't tacked down this first bead yet. It's still on its side. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up 1 seed bead. I'm going to go down through the top of that first bead to form my picot there. I am then going to go from front to back, and then I'm going to come up through like I would to finish off that first one. However, if you notice, we're not done yet because I'm missing a bead. So now I'm going to pick up one more seed bead and go back down through that second bead. Not going through the fabric, but just going through that second bead. Now at this point, I'm going to come back up through the very next bead because I want to see something. So I was looking at this and I was like, the gold is gorgeous, but there's a lot of gold. So I wanted to see, I was going to try something and just see what it looks like doing one because I can pull it out. I wanted to see what it would look like if I added in next to the golds, the coral beads, the matte coral in between my picots. Now there's going to be some tight fits if I were to do it in between all of these beads because, and see, nope, I don't like that. So I'm going to pull that out. And because we're putting the needle back through, it should pull out. You're going to have to, it's going to be tricky, but this would be how you back out of a stitch if you don't want to do it. There we go. So then that can take the bead off. And then we're going to back this one out. And again, be very careful because you don't want to snare thread. There we go. All right, so I just went through a couple of those seed beads. I'm fine with doing that. I'm going to pull off that bead. And now I'm just going to finish off by going through this bottom bead. And then I am going to stitch through the fabric just a little bit, not going through all the layers, just through some of them, and trying to get my needle to come up from somewhere and not knotting. Because see, that just knotted on me. There we go. And now that I'm coming up through, I'm going to make a knot around this thread right here. And then I'm going to start stitching through some beads. And preferably, actually, I'm going to go back through this one because I don't want, or those two, because I don't want that thread coming out there. I think I'm going to go through these because I don't want it in the center. I want it along the side. I'm going to go around this thread. Form a nice tight knot, and then sew through some more beads. And now that I've gotten 2 or 3 knots, I can just snip my thread. And so there we go. So that is finished with the picots. I absolutely love this. I'm glad I didn't do the corners with picots because I think that would have been too much on those corners. That looks fine. There, it matches down there. I could do something if I wanted to. That one's a little loose, but I could always, so you can always, if you find you've got a bead that's loose or that's got too much of a space like that one, you could put a little dollop of glue to kind of hold them in place, but I think that's fine. So we've gotten the pendant done, and I'm sure you've seen some beads here, and I'm gonna lift you up a little bit. I'm sure you saw earlier I had this string of beads here because I think this is the pattern that I'm gonna want to go on this. But one of my things that I was thinking about doing, not that I can do it with the bead keeper, but what I was thinking of was taking my chain and doing, and I'll just kind of hold it here to kind of show you, is doing a drop so that the chain is a little lower than the beads. So first we're going to string up the beads, and this is a scrap thread or scrap wire. I've got a couple of them that could be bracelets, so to be honest, I don't need a ton of the wire, so I may just do both of them on this. I'm gonna grab some gold crimps, and I'm gonna grab my bright gold because that is what we're using here. So I've got the bright gold that will match. And I'm going to grab my crimp covers. And I'm going to need 2 for each one. Now, I think I'm going to do this side first here, is I'm going to put on my bead cap, or my crimp cap, crimp cover, my crimp clam, my crimp tube, and I'm going to crimp really close to the end if I can find my tiny tweezer. Where'd my tweezer go? There's my tweezers. And I know that's a little long, but I can just snip off that end, grab the remnants of my E6000, and get just a little bit of glue on there. I don't need a ton. And I'm going to close the crimp. And then I can move all of these beads, whoops, sorry about the camera, guys, down to this other end and do the same thing on this side. Except I'm going to go all the way down because this will allow me to use up, this is why I like using scraps for this. I think this is great to do scraps. And I've crimped that nice and tight, making sure it's not going to come loose. I'm going to snip, grab some glue if I can, and close. So now I have my first side. Now, I haven't decided how much chain I'm going to use because what I want to do is, I know this isn't going to be a long enough necklace, so I'm going to add my chain, do my curve, and then extend the chain on up. So I just need to figure out how much chain I need to make that loose extra angle. But first we're going to make the other one of these. So to do that, I am going to grab a wire guardian or wire guard here, bead guard, whatever you want to call these things. I don't even know what they're called. And I'm going to just start stringing on my, and I have these beads over here because I wanted to make sure I had enough of the bead caps. And I did. So I counted out before when I was designing, I counted out to make sure I had enough of the beads and the bead caps for the desired effect. And so if you're designing and you have limited beads, make sure for what you want to do, you have enough beads. I know I've at times when I first started out beading would start designing and then I'd be like, oh no, I ran out of beads and I'm 3/4 of the way through, and then I'd have to scrap the design and start the plan all over again. And I was very disappointed. So if I'm doing something, especially for something as fancy as this, I want to make sure I have enough of my elements. And that. And that. So, this is going to be the Shibori for this kit, and I'll be showing you here. I'll be pausing as soon as we get this made to grab from my displays the other Shibori that I did and the other beading that I wanted to show you. I think they're just fabulous. All right, and lastly, we're doing the 4th pink bead. Now, I was originally going to do 5, but then decided that I liked the idea of adding the chain. Oops. So then I opted to change it to 4. And there we go. So there's that. Now I'm going to swap crimps because I want to do the first crimp on this one on the bottom here. So now I'm going to need, and I'm really liking this. I think this is going to be beautiful. I hope you like this too. And again, and usually I'm not a big fan of oranges, and you know, I like pink. Not a big fan of the reds and oranges, but I have to say this kit amazed me. I like how bright it is. It's very tropical. I like the way it feels. Let's put it that way. All right. Crimp my crimp bead here. I'm going to try to get it as close to the top so I don't have to, whoops, not taking it off though. Come on. There we go. I am running out of E6000. Now I've got a ton more, so I just got another 4-pack in. I actually got 3 4-packs. I don't know. I think I spent $10 on Amazon to get $12, something like that, to get 4 of them. So yeah, it wasn't, and I'm not 4 little tubes. I mean like 3 packages. So I think, so like I got all of these, I think for $12. So I got 12 of them. So about a buck a tube, which isn't really bad. Especially if, you know, you buy the big tubes, which would last me longer if I was to be using it all the time. The problem is I use it and I might do some Shibori, you know, and then take a break from Shibori and then go back to it, or, you know, the bead weaving or the bead. And I don't use enough of it to to warrant using a big tube, and it dries out on me. So I've got 4 tubes right now that I'm sure there's some good glue still in there somewhere, but unfortunately the tube is so dried out at the top that like I've stuck wires down in only to get out just a little tiny drop of glue. It's just not worth it. So now this little piece I will keep just to string on ideas. You know, same thing with that. But then I have this nice big wire here that I'll keep to make more of these. So now that I've gotten that done, now I need to figure out where I am going to, or how much chain I need. So I've got my two things here, and I want it to loop. So I need to do, I want it to drape. So I need to do about that much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one extra link, I'm going to hold on to it, and I'm going to measure to, well, and then I'm going to cut. And the reason being is because I am going to have to do, actually, if I do that twice, that should definitely be long enough to go, that should be more than long enough. I want my loops, I want it to angle. So let me get this part attached, and then we'll attach the chain because we're going to need to do jump rings anyway. Let me do the first side, and we'll see what it looks like. I need to find smaller jump rings in bright gold. In the right gold. There we go. So again, bringing in the right color gold, and I'm doing very small jump rings here. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to open up a jump ring on my Shibori here. Just a little bit. Now I'm going to add that chain that I cut first because I want that on the bottom. And then I'm going to add my add my beads, and I'm going to close this. And so trying to close this is going to be a pain. As you can see, there's a little gap there, but I don't have a whole lot of the so I am just going to try to do that and get that as tight as I can. There we go. So now I could put could put a dollop of either glue or resin on that to seal that up, which I may do. So I'm trying to make sure this is nice and super tight because I can still see a gap. All right, so I could feel them rubbing. It's not going anywhere, although one of my things came off when I did that. So that's the thing you have to be careful with, that is if you're trying to close these jump rings, that you make sure everything is in when you close it. There we go. That's nice and tight. So now I need to figure out where I'm going to put this little tiny jump ring. If I can get it open. So this is where, when you've got tiny jump rings like this, use pliers, because my nails, I'm not going to get that open. And so I've got that on there. And that looks good. Now I'm thinking, let's see, what do we got for links? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm thinking maybe we're going to go 28 roughly, and I'll double count again, because again, I'm just, to start out with, I am just hooking this on and hooking this on, and I'm going to do the other side. That is, if I can actually get this to stay on with this tiny jump ring. There we go. So when that hangs, that might be a little too long. See, that might be a little too long. I think I need to go several links shorter. I don't want it that drapey. I really hate these jump rings. They're just too tiny for me. All right. So we'll take this. No, you stay on there. You come off. And we're going to do we'll try that. All right, let's see what. And see, that's too tight. Because see, now that's the opposite of what I want. So, and again, this is going to be where I'm finagling and finessing, and what I may do until I figure out which size or what length I need. What I may end up doing is using a bigger jump ring, because this one is starting to annoy me. So I'm just going to take a bigger jump ring for now, anyways. It's not super large. It's just one of my standards. I call them my standard size jump rings. And we are going to go, ooh, if I don't throw it away, we're going to go in here and then through that. And just see, nope, that's still too long. So let's add 3 more, 4 more. So this is the part of the design process where you're trying to figure out exactly how much drape you want. And so I know that's not hanging exactly the way I want it right yet, but that's fine. That's about where I want it. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Something snagged on the jump ring, so we need to take, Yeah, see, the jump ring snagged. It got too, that's why. The jump ring snagged and got too, which is why I need to use a smaller jump ring. So that's about what I want for a design. I want the chain to hang. So I think that's good. I am going to attach a smaller jump ring now, just because I don't want the jump ring to be that big. I don't want it to be a focal, but now I know exactly where I need it to be. And so I'm going to take this jump ring out. I am going to I'm going to leave this bent right here so I know which link I need. I am going to grab a new jump ring just because that other one's got mangled a little bit, and jump rings are not expensive, so I'm again not too worried about. So I'm going to open it just a hair, and I'm going to snag this guy, and then I'm going to snag this if I can get it. There we go. And then we're going to close this jump ring, making sure it's nice and super tight. And there we go. Perfect. Perfect. So now, in order to do the other side, rather than cut anything, I am going to put my chain on the whole length. I'm going to put on my beads. I'm going to close this up, and as you notice, the jump ring is right at the edge of the fabric. So when I sewed this on and glued it on, I wasn't quite paying attention to where the hole was, but that's closed, so we're good there. Now we just need to count the chains. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Ugh, if I could keep count, let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, right? Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 26, yep. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Right there. All right, so now I have my spot. I'm going to take my jump ring, I'm going to attach, and then now we can figure out where to attach our clasps, and I'm going to use the clasps that came with the kit. All right, so now if I'm holding this up, it should drape, and it drapes nicely. So let's grab a mannequin and see what it looks like on the mannequin. So we're going to add in our, and again, it's just going to have a little bit of an extra drape along the sides. Not a ton. I don't think I need a ton of chain. I think maybe, you know, 5 or 10 links down is all we're going to need. Whoops. And so this one side is going to annoy me. I need to fix that crimp bead, or that because it's wrapping. So I'm going to fix that real quick. I'm going to pause you guys to do that because you don't need to see me undo the jump ring and redo it because it twisted on this side. As you can see, it twisted around, so I just need to adjust the jump ring. I'm going to do that, and then we'll be back to put on the clasp. All right, that took like 2 seconds, so I probably could have done that on camera. I'm going to close up my glue. I don't need that anymore. I'm thinking, because of where it drapes, I'm going to hold it up to myself again, knowing where I want it roughly. And I'm going to pinch and basically count. So from the jump ring, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to cut off the 7th one here. And then we're going to do 6 on the other side as well. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and cut off number 7. All right, and now we're going to put on our jump rings, our lobster claw. So they come with these tiny little jump rings. Really? Is it stuck? Or is it just... I honestly think that's welded. That's interesting. So that's welded. So that's not going to work. So I'm going to use beads from, or jump rings from my stash in order to attach these, because that one was welded. It's not going to work to open up. That happens, I guess, at times, if you, depending on the jump ring. I've seen them, you know, and they may have welded that on purpose. I mean, I can see where it's supposed to be cut. It's just not cut. And then I am going to attach a jump ring, but I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to add a larger one as well to this side, just because I think it might be easier for people to clasp it rather than trying to get that tiny little thing. All right, and that's it. So this is going to be like a choker chain, and if I can get it to sit on the mannequin here without getting snagged. It's just not wanting to sit. So, well, yeah, we're going to just not do it on the mannequin because this mannequin's too small for this. So I will set it out on the table here. I will show you, and then I'm going to pause and clean up for a second, and I will be right back. All right, guys, real quick, I just decided I was going to show it to you on, so I've kind of angled the camera on the tripod just to show you. So if you look, it's got the little bit of a drape from the chain, and it's a choker style. So I'm going to flip the camera back around, and then I'll show you an up close picture of it. I really like this necklace. It's really, really pretty, and it feels good on, and it's not tight. It's a nice up close to the collarbone, so I like it. So I'm going to pause you. I'm going to flip the camera around, and I will be right back. All right, so now for nice up close, I mean, it's very sparkly. It's very bright. I like the beads. I like the dangling of the chain. I like the feel of it. You know, the back looks gorgeous. The extra beads for the picos are just adorable. While I could have done additional, like, and I've got some threads sticking out there that I need to trim off, but while I could have done some more embellishments and stuff, I'm glad I didn't, just because I didn't want to overpower. I didn't want to take for the border to take away from the shibori inside. So it doesn't lay very great flat, because these beads and the chain, but you saw it on. It lays quite nicely. It's got the nice chain element with the shibori. Anyway, so that was the one that we just did. So now I promised you I was going to show you the necklace that I had done. And so this was the one from last month's bargain bead box. And so this is the necklace that goes with the earrings, but I had also done a second pair of earrings. So instead of doing the flowers, and again, I did the necklace slightly different than I did the earrings, but I also did a second set. So as you can see, I've got two with the leaves and the flowers that match this. And then I've got these two, which are slightly different. And on the backs, I used some, on these, I used leather, and it had a floral pattern in the purple and like gold color, which, you know, and silver, which I thought really looked nice with these, because I actually ran out of this blue, the blue felt. So while I'm not selling it as a set, I'm selling the pieces. These will be for sale in my Etsy shop, and I love that I used one of the clasps there. I think that just adds to the shibori. One of the other things that I did, and I think I mentioned this in the beginning of the video, that I had done a necklace cabochon for Bunfest, that I was trying to do a vintage look. I made this necklace with the cabochon that I had, and it's a bunny. It's going to be for sale at Bunfest, so I thought I'd show you this as well. So this is the cabochon. And so it's got this little bugler bunny in it with some roses. It's springtime. And I wanted to pull in the pinks, but I didn't want to pull in the bright pink, because I was afraid the bright pink would take away from the bunny. So I found this very soft, light baby pink, and I have some baby pink crystals. And I didn't want to do bright gold, so I did my matte soft gold, which actually ties into the accents that are in this cabochon. And I followed that through with doing a very simple necklace, using the matte gold seed beads, and then pink fabric, so that it ties out, so it's supposed to look like a vintage necklace. So if you're interested in seeing how I did this, and then how I put the chain on and did everything so that it looks like it's just all one piece, let me know. I'll make a video on it, because I do have teacup bunny that I want to do. I have, oops, and I'm dropping Velvet's treats. I have, this bunny. I have this bunny. So this would be, I would probably do this in yellows and purples, this in blues, or maybe green on this one in blue, and then this one, because there's not a whole lot of color, I could do anything on this. It does have some pink in it, but just not as much as this. So anyways, if you're interested in seeing me create that, let me know in the comments, and I will, I'll make up a tutorial for you, and then let you know where I got the cabochons and everything. So anyways, that would be the Birds of Paradise Shibori for the Tropical Heat bargain bead box. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.